Welcome to the Good Talent Podcast. It's wonderful to have your company. My name's Tony Nichols, and this is the podcast that aims to educate you on media to help take your profile to the next level. Today, I'd like to talk about perfectionism and why it's the very thing that's stopping you from being a good media performer. Perfectionism is a huge problem. Right from the start, perfectionism and procrastination really live together. If you're a perfectionist, your likelihood of getting moving and implementing and pitching your story into the press and becoming the figure in the press you deserve to be is very, very low because you're waiting for everything to be perfect before you even get moving. So I would say if you're interested in being a PR pro and having a profile and getting all the benefits of that, you've got to dump perfectionism straight away. But where I see perfectionism play out mostly is in people's total fear of the media. People think, oh, I'm about to be interviewed. It's got to be perfect. I'm about to be interviewed. Oh, no, I said Oh, I'm about to be interviewed. Oh, my shirt doesn't look right. My hair's not right. I think in our ego, in our self-indulgence, in our total focus on ourselves, we're actually hemorrhaging any success that's possible to have. So perfectionism is your enemy in the media. Here's the reality. You're never going to interview perfectly. You're never going to be able to completely control the message. You're never going to feel completely comfortable. In fact, if you're in a tough industry and you're facing tough issues all the time in the press, you're going to feel like you're in a fight all the time. You're going to be getting bashed up all the time. If you're in crisis media situations and you're doing very hard interviews, your role really is just to control parts of the narrative, get parts of your story out there for the public to consider. So such thing as a perfect interview doesn't exist. But I think you need to just drop that even as a possibility. So perfectionism will stop you from being successful. What you're better off doing in an interview is jumping in with all the prep that we're happy to give you and we are giving you in this podcast, and go for it. Accept your stumbles. Accept the moments when you don't feel comfortable. Accept the moments when you're off track, because question after question after question after question, you're more likely to get better. Now, for any of you listening who have press pack experience as an interviewee, or you're in the media a lot and you're listening to this podcast to tune up and sharpen up, you know that interviews run for, say, 12 questions around that. 12 minutes is about as long as we want you, live or pre-record. It's heaps long. Live, I'd say it's more like 6 minutes, 8 minutes tops. Rule of thumb for good talent or good talkers is 1 question per minute. Doesn't matter what interview situation you're in. If you're tight at the start, unfortunately, that's going to mean for shorter answers, which is going to mean that you're not going to be controlling the interview or getting off to a good start. But as every question comes in, you start relaxing a little more. You often get better. If you listen to what I would say is poor interviews, the talent is often their best at the end because they've actually relaxed. But the sad part about it is that they've lost most of their audience because we've tuned out, right? Like, you win the privilege of your audience's attention. Why should we listen to anyone beyond 30 seconds or even 15 seconds unless they're great? We shouldn't. I should be with my wife, kids, doing important things. No one has to listen to you. You win the privilege of your audience's attention. You eventually warm up at the end of the interview and you're quite good, but you've lost a lot of your audience. In order for you to lighten up more and be more free in your interview, drop perfectionism as a goal. You cannot be perfect in an interview. You're going to have great moments. You're going to stumble a little bit. You're going to give a rubbish answer. You're going to give an illuminating, incredible, unforgettable answer. You're going to have a holistic experience in this interview. And you've got to accept that as cool and the normal way interviews roll. Perfectionism is a big problem. Now, for you perfectionists out there, drop the scripts. I can see you. I've worked with thousands of you. You write it all out. You got reams of paper in front of you, and here's the interview, you're reading it out. That is death. That is death. I've done so many of those interviews myself. You just want to politely, you listen politely for 3 or 4 questions, and then you just delete the interview. It's over. So drop perfectionism. Another part of that is drop the scripts. Prep, absolutely prep, but you need to be prepping out loud. If it's a broadcast interview, it's not happening in the quiet of your mind. If it's a pre-record of any kind on the telephone, which they mostly are, it's a spoken word thing. So practice your interviews out loud, because you don't want to be speaking with the past tense written word. So, we write in past tense. We don't speak that way. We speak in active voice. So you need to be practicing your interview out loud, getting your mouth around all of the words. Ideally, you're listening to yourself as you're practicing this thing out loud and you're honing the answer. Maybe you're emphasizing the soundbite, the sexier part of your answer. Now you're really getting ready for an interview. No script. You've dropped that sense of perfectionism. And now you're honing into the better parts of your answers, which could be a little bit more soundbitey. That's really, really important. So there's a few things to think about there. Now, when you get into the stream of interviewing powerfully, you can actually do what we call soundbiting now. So you can practice out loud, you can tune into the parts of your answers that sound even better. Then you can highlight on your notepad the 2 or 3 or 4 words that really rip on your topic. In journalistically, think about triples. We think about triples a lot. So we're looking for good talent, good talkers, right? Things that we can cut for your package. Now you're controlling us in an interview when you're giving us sound bites. Now we're at a higher level now. You've got to get over your perfectionism before that's even possible. Here's a really simple triple. It makes community sense, it makes social sense, it makes economic sense. Now apply that to whatever industry you're in. So we work in not-for-profits, disability, aged care industry groups, and further abroad. But there's a triple: community sense, economic sense, and social sense. That could be your voice that's cut. Powerful, isn't it? It's going to sound great. You've practiced it out loud a few times. You've said it 3 or 4 times in the interview. You're looking good. Now the journo can voice or write your point that supports that soundbite. So you've gone from the start of this podcast worried about being perfect. I'm encouraging you to get rid of that sense of perfectionism in order for you to be as close to perfect as possible. So no script, speaking from the heart, and really focusing on the essence of the messages that you're trying to get across. So you'll never reach these lofty heights, or you'll never reach this level of media interviewing ability that we call good talent if you're holding onto a script and you're holding onto the sense of this tightness of being perfect. Can you feel the difference there? I need to be perfect in this interview. So I'm contracted, I'm tight, I'm nervous. This is hard. I need to be perfect. This is going to be so embarrassing if I'm not perfect. Look at it the opposite. I'm actually going to get on there and go for it. I'm going to get on there and go as hard as I can. And I'm going to speak straight to this audience I'm trying to reach. And in this instance, it could be the federal government or the state government. Remember, we're in an election year. So there's an exciting opportunity for you to get lots of press and get your policy asks out there. I'm just going to absolutely go for it. I've got a good soundbite here. It makes economic sense, social sense, and community sense. And I'm going to drive that home. So that's what gets to run in the news tonight. Now, that is a perfect interview. Absolutely perfect. It's simplistic. There's a soundbite. And you've got that sense of freedom about you that you're just going to go for it. And that's what you want. That's what being good talent is. Good talent's not tight. Good talent accepts that it is scary. But good talent just goes for it, stays on message, and backs it up with incredible sound bites, and even better, stories to back up your points as well. So perfection awaits you, but focusing on perfectionism, it just destroys you. Thanks for listening.